networking with people. And then we definitely know quite well, because we are in a city where there are quite a number of university students that are IT savvy, and and there are ideas around that needs to be annexed. So I think what Okolo is doing is fantastic, and because Africa is open for business, Africa is open for the development of ideas, because basically in the world today, the challenges of the world today need solution. And the only way we can develop businesses is to look at ideas that are working towards solving these problems.
Oh, that's very wonderful. That's very wonderful. Yes, of course, we are open to collaboration, we are open to partnership, and we are open also to creating a better world together. Okay, yes, once again, good afternoon, everyone. Good day. Yeah, welcome to the Okolo Spotlight Series. Yes, let's see the title we are discussing here is Ideas Rule the World and Ideation in Entrepreneurship. Yeah, so just like I've apologized earlier that we've been experiencing technical issues, and yes, we are back fully. Yeah, so before we go, I permit me to introduce Mrs. Oluneye Oluwale. She is a serial entrepreneur, a Congressional Recognition Award recipient, and also she is a founder of Story Chess Group, Inc., Canada, and African Hub International. Yeah, we have been expecting you, ma. I don't know if you can hear me, ma. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
All right. Yes, very, very well. Thank you. We can hear you now. All right. So you have the floor, ma.
Okay, thank you so much. I first want to apologize for the delay in getting online today. I had a series of unexpected issues that that needed my urgent attention. So if I have the floor, do I have the floor to go ahead?
Yes, you have the floor to go ahead. Yes.
Okay. All right. So just a second. I kind of sent my, yes, I think I sent my, yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Just a second. Just give me a second. We are in the world of tech and
yes. Right.
okay. Just a second. Screen. Okay. Here we go. Thank you. I think I sent my, yeah, I sent, sorry, you just need to, excuse me for a second. Yeah. Yeah, I got you now. Okay, so good. We're good to go. Can you hear me still?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly.
Okay, good. All right. So a very good afternoon, and thank you for inviting me to the entrepreneurship webinar series for Okolo Global Innovation. Thank you for that kind introduction. And I would say, without further ado, I would do a very brief insight into who I am and what drives me, and exactly, why we're here. As a stakeholder, as a serial entrepreneur, as a founder, as a mentor, as a disruptor, as an innovator within the global and the African entrepreneurship ecosystem. Part of my mission is to, one, support entrepreneurship initiatives and programs. Also, part of that mission goes into fostering collaborations, cooperation between stakeholders, and in Africa and the rest of the world. When I say stakeholders, we have different stakeholders in the entrepreneurship ecosystem. We have the academia, we have the industry leaders, we have founders, we have investors, VCs, policymakers, and the government. The final mission is in providing support for the emergence of and the development of sustainable entrepreneurship ecosystems in Africa. And one of such is, Opolo Global Innovation. It's an ecosystem in Africa. So it's a great honor to be a guest speaker today at your webinar series. And I want to thank the leadership of Opolo Global Innovation for this kind invite. So I'll just do a deep dive quickly into, we're supposed to be talking about ideation. What does ideation mean in entrepreneurship? How do ideas rule the world? And I want to start from the last decade, what we have seen in the tech industry within Africa. We have seen significant progress. When I say significant progress, a lot of companies, ideas have been born or were born that metamorphosed into businesses, of which Nigeria alone, if we look at the statistics, 5 out of the 7 unicorns, that emerge from the continent, they're from Nigeria. So that tells you something. That tells you ideas are ruling in not only Africa, but in Nigeria. For 7 out of 7 of the unicorns to be from Nigeria. So what does this mean? And how does the continent position its emerging entrepreneurs? So that's where we're going today. How do you birth an idea, or what is ideation? So I'm going to share with you, I'm going to introduce the concept of ideation through a storytelling format, because I'm a storyteller, and also I'm a spoken word poet, I'm a creative entrepreneur. So I'm going to use that aspect of mine to get us into the understanding of what ideation is. So the storyteller side of me is what is going to share with you what ideation is all about. And I hope that this would be an interesting experience for everyone. So ideas, we often get this quote, ideas rule the world, but I want to ask everyone here, if you believe that ideas rule the world, type, I want this to be very engaging, and I want you to type in the chat box the kind of ideas that have ruled the world or are ruling the world. So let me just see your chat quickly. Can you do a chat for me? So while we're doing that, I want to ask, are we familiar with ideas from, people like Thomas Edison, Graham Bell, Elon Musk, Richard Branson, Oprah Winfrey, Steve Jobs? So these are people that have come up with ideas, and these ideas have been acted upon, and they have become businesses, and they have become things that that are ruling the world. Graham Bell, we talk about the telephone. Thomas Edison, electricity. Elon Musk, we're talking about the space, and we're talking about the electric cars and all of that. It all started as an idea. It's like, I have an idea. So, and I'm sure that at one point in our lives, we've had that phrase, oh, I have an idea. Oh, I have this idea. How many of us have had, if you have had an idea at some point and you have told someone, or you have told yourself that you have an idea, can you type yes, no, or maybe? I want to see that in the chat box. So I'm not going to spend too much time looking in the chat box. I'm just going to go categorically into ideation. So let me say that we live in times now that requires us, to have new ideas. There are a lot of challenges, there are a lot of problems. And because you're in the world at this time, you're born in this time to come up with new ideas. So let me emphasize something. A lot of people think, oh, Elon Musk is fantastic, Richard Branson. Anybody can come up with any idea. And coming up with ideas is your superpower. It is your superpower. So don't think that lofty ideas or ideation or ideas are just, for a certain kind of people. So lastly, coming up with ideas and acting on these ideas is what is going to keep you relevant in the game of life. We look at what Richard Branson, he's done the galactic, he's engaging the world with, travel to space, Elon Musk as well. We're looking at the likes of Jeff Bezos, the Amazon tech giant, I've mentioned Richard Branson. Now let's take a sneak peek at some of the problems around us as Nigerians. I want to bring it local now. We see problems like insecurity, we see ASU strike, we see the increase in fuel and gas prices, we see the Naira depreciation, we see increase in food prices, the general state of unrest in the country. And these are opportunities for ideas that we can come up with. So again, I want to engage you to share some of the global problems or some of the local problems that you have identified, either as an entrepreneur or as an innovator or just an ideas person. Okay, can you type in the chat box and let me, I'll circle back to that. Now, according to Earl Nightingale, this was in the 50s. He says, everything begins with an idea. I want you to think very well on that. The clothes you're wearing, it began with an idea. Somebody must have thought, let me put this color with this color. The necklace that I have on, the beads, everything begins with an idea. The headphones, someone must have thought, if we design headphones that have, comfortable muffs, on the ears, it would be better for people to, for communication. So everything we see in the world starts from an idea. It begins with an idea. So what ideas, I want to have a dialogue with you. If you can unmute and show by the raising of your Zoom app features, raising of your hand, what ideas have you come up with and what actions have you taken on your ideas to make them a reality? I want to hear from 2 or 3 people, maybe 2 people, so we can go ahead. Can we get our mics unmuted?
Okay, I don't know if I'm given the permission to actually go ahead, take the lead for that. Can I?
Okay.
Can I?
Okay,
All right,
go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I figured out that in the educational sector, right? There are actually gaps in capacity building in the educational sector, right? So quite a number of young adults are not ready for the workforce, right? So what I'm thinking of doing now is the idea I have in my mind is to see how we can actually take education, knowledge, right, down to their doorstep. So like trying to create a platform where they learn, try to like gather skills, gather knowledge, try to like scale up in robotics, try to scale up in agriculture, quite a number of things. So that's just what is the idea. Idea really is just for me to build the education barrier, like bridge the gap for this educational. Yeah, so that's just the idea, taking education down to people. Yeah.
So you're thinking your idea is in edutech.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Exactly.
So we're gonna see how you take that and what actions have you taken. What actions have you taken on your ideas to make them a reality? If I may ask you.
Okay, so the actions I've really been able to do really, of course, I try to like understand the numbers and understand the need for it, because of course there's a need for it, right? So what I've been able to do really is to see how I connect, because of course where it's been cited the rural areas, the underserved areas, but then I found out that we have quite a numbers of, let's say 2 to 7 years of age roaming around the streets. But of course, just kids get attracted to sweet biscuit and the like. So I've been able to try to like gather them, try to see that they're in a particular position and engage them with material things, right? Material things, like trying to like connect a lot of things just to build their curiosity, try to like gather materials for them where they can work or to just like keep them together. So I've been able to like engage their parents and the like. So that's what I've been able to do.
Okay, so that's at least you have gone beyond just thinking it. You've gone beyond just imagining it. You have actually, you know, taken, you know, bolder steps in that respect, right?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so I want to say that we'll just take one person's experience. But I want to sound an alarm today that you need to just get busy with coming up with ideas consistently and purposefully. Now, my ideation story, I would say that I've come to understand that the journey to being an entrepreneur starts from just having that light bulb idea. In my case, it's not just one idea. I've had several ideas. I identified problems that I wanted to solve. They became my canvas, my starting point, followed by acting on that idea. Now, by this, I mean, you know, I focus my time, my energies, my resources to making it a reality. You know, writing down.
Oh, tomorrow I need it. Tomorrow is 1st of September. I need it tomorrow.
Oh, sorry, I need to do that. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so writing down ideas, keeping a journal, taking small steps, just like you said, to actualize, you know, these ideas. So for me, I have had, I've conceived several business ideas in travel and tourism. This was way back in 1999. I identified a problem of not having enough destinations within Africa, within Nigeria, package tours. And that was where my entrepreneurship, you know, journey started from. I've also had ideas in food and grocery delivery, in media, in fashion, not-for-profit, enterprise support and education, content creation. So you see that, you know, everything starts as an idea, and that you would have a plethora of ideas. Now, as beautiful and as lofty as it sounds, that an entrepreneur starts from having that light bulb idea, I hate to bust your bubble to announce to you that it's not just about having an idea or ideas, but about making the ideas happen. So my question to the house today, what are you willing to give to that idea to make that idea happen? What's the process? What's the journey to acting on your idea? So, but before we go into that, I want to share with you what I call the 4 Ps, which is a foundation. These are what I call common ingredients that I consider as important for success as an entrepreneur, and what I call, you know, the 4 Ps. And the 4 Ps are you must have passion. I see your passion. The last speaker, you know, you have gathered children on the street, you have interviewed them, you have done, you know, a lot of things. You must have patience. The next one is persistence. And the 4th one is perseverance. Now, what is passion? This is often the place where we find a lot of defeat. I want to hear somebody else speak, where we have the fear of the unknown and the what if, you know, what if it doesn't work? This hinders our ideas. What if it doesn't work? What if it fails? What if it's a crazy idea? So the last speaker, can you share with me some of the fears that you had when you conceived this idea?
Okay, yes. My fear really is, do I get the required resources to carry on, right? The human resources, because of course we need quite a number of persons. That is one. Is it sustainable? Like, because I know it's, of course, it's a good idea, but how do I get started? Will I just zone out of the whole idea? Like, so that's just my fear, really. That can I continue? Is this going to be sustainable? Right? Am I able to like engage these people and ensure that it goes to the next step? So those are the fear of the unknown.
So exactly. So with passion comes the fear of the unknown and the what ifs. And I always like to share what Richard Branson spoke about in one of his quotes regarding, passion and going after, your idea. And he says, entrepreneurship is about turning what excites you. I can sense your excitement, your passion, and what you're, sharing with me in the education sector. It says that entrepreneurship is about turning what excites you in life into capital so that you can do more of it and move forward with it. Whatever your goal is, you will never, he says, succeed unless you let go of your fears and fly. So that is the first thing that you have to understand in the ideation process. You must be able to let go of your fears and fly, regardless of how it's going to be, how it's going to turn out. So for me, I had to let go of the fears that I had. Don't forget, my very first business was in 1999. It was a travel and tourism company. And I had zero experience in running a business. So to myself, I said, what if this fails? Just like you're asking yourself, where do I get the funding from? How can I, for me, I was a mother of 3 kids, all under the age of 10. So I said to myself, how would I balance my life as a mother, as a wife, as an entrepreneur? So these were my fears, but I didn't allow those fears to incapacitate me, to not move me from acting on the ideas. So my mission here today is to challenge you, everyone, and to challenge your superpowers to conceive ideas. My questions are, and I'm going to ask you to put your answers in the chat box. What excites you? I understand the last speaker said education and tech. There's that intersection that he's bringing tech into education and children and students. What's your passion? Then what problems have you identified locally or globally? What is it that keeps you up late in the night? I want the engagement to be two-way. Please put it in the chat box. I'm going to go back to the chat box when we get to the Q&A. And then what are the what ifs that you're pondering on? So I know that a lot of people might be, maybe shy, they don't want others to know what their fears are, but I want genuine answers. Don't worry if that idea that you're thinking about, if you think it sucks. Some people will think, I think this idea sucks. Remember, great ideas. Who would have thought that we could power cars with electricity? I'm very sure Thomas Edison didn't think that a car could be powered by electricity. So let go of what the next person will think, and let's share, our ideas. So we're talking about passion, and we talked about the fears that can, hinder you from moving forward with your passion. The second is patience. And I want to use another quote because I love quotes. It brings perspective. Patience is, according to J. Paul Getty, he says, patience is the greatest business asset. Now, in the world that we're living right now, we know that patience is nowhere. Everything is on the go. And believe me, today, I'm not sure if J. Paul Getty, knows that we're really not patient. If you're driving a car, you're in a traffic or something, everybody's just going everywhere. But as an entrepreneur, we must realize that we need patience, because we will get not one, but several curveballs along the way. That is, things that would throw your ideas out of context. It would just throw them away, even with the best of the plans, your strategies. So you're not thinking that that golden ideas of yours cannot hit the rock. So what do you do when the curveball hits? Hit rather. So my answer is always patience. And like I always say that, patience is easy to say. And I truly, truly wish that I was, someone that that has patience, in my growing years as an entrepreneur. So patience, I want to drop it with you, is not something that we have automatically. Like, as an entrepreneur, you must consciously do it, because you need that patience to see your idea from, just thinking it putting it down, acting on it, working on it, refining it, iterating and getting it off the ground. So if you're still working at patience like me, so don't beat yourself too hard to say, oh, this idea isn't working. I tried it last year or 6 months ago, or, I've been on it for 2 years. I'm going to show you something that lets you know that patience is a work in progress. Now, the third thing is persistence. And I want to share, two quotes with you. I don't know which one I love most, more. The one by Bill Bradley, the Starbucks corporate director, that says, ambition is the path to success and persistence is the vehicle that you arrive in. So you see that there is ambition, you have an idea, you've birthed an idea, but persistence is that vehicle that you arrive in. And then there's another quote by Benjamin Franklin that says that energy and persistence conquer all things. So as an entrepreneur, you must be persistent, you must be creative. Now, talking about persistence, that's where I'm going. I'm not sure if we have any tech entrepreneur or an innovator. Have you heard of James Dyson, the inventor of the cyclonic vacuum technology? Now, this guy, he's a techpreneur. He used 5 years of his life creating 5,127 versions of just one product. So the last speaker, I want to ask you, how long have you been working on your idea? This is James Dyson. He spent 5 years of his life to create 5,127 versions of just one product. So we're saying that in 1 year, he was creating 1,000 versions of one same product. So let me know how many years you've been on your EduTech idea.
Okay, yeah, so it's actually been working on it for over 2 years now. Yes, okay. I started 2 years, just 2 years.
So are you aware that James Dyson spent 5 years of his life creating 5,127 versions of just a single product that failed? They failed.
Yeah, I'm just hearing it for the first time from you. Something I learned today. Yeah, it's something I just learned today. So.
Okay, so yeah. Before he finally succeeded in creating the world's first bagless vacuum cleaner, which is called the Dyson. So today, Dyson is a multi-billion-dollar company and is sold in over 65 countries. But before he got there, he spent 5 years producing 5,000 versions of just one single product that failed, not succeeded, that failed before he eventually got one. So you're on 2 years. So we're still looking, you're still coming up. So my question to you is how many of you, or my last speaker, are you willing to wait 5 years to create 1,000 versions or 5,000 versions of any idea you're thinking about? Are you sure you can wait? Can I get your thought on that? The last speaker. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, of course I can wait because it's something I have passion for. So for someone to wait for about 5 years to get something done, so it doesn't really matter. I get it done at the end. So yeah. Of course I can wait for
okay.
5 years.
I'm happy to hear that. So the next one is perseverance. Now, in the words of Steve Jobs, he says that I'm convinced that about half of what separates I see a successful entrepreneur in the last speaker. He says, yes, I can wait. Someone else would have pondered and said, I'm not sure I can wait 5 years, on one product, making 5,000 versions, and then they failed. How would my family, perceive me? How would my friends perceive me that I'm a failure and this and that? But Steve Jobs says that he's convinced that about half of what separates successful entrepreneurs from non-successful ones is pure perseverance. So are we willing, like Steve Jobs? Let me give you his example. We talked about James Dyson. Now, Steve Jobs, How many of you are willing to have an idea like Steve Jobs, start the company, get booted out of that same company by the people you started the idea with, and then you stage a comeback to make the idea, which is Apple, a global brand that we all love today. We want to flaunt it, that we have it. We want to aspire to acquire it, or we die trying to acquire it. Are you willing to put that much perseverance into the idea that you birthed? Don't forget, you birthed the idea, you started the company, they sent you out of that company, and then you came back, you stayed a comeback, and now Apple is a global brand that we know today. Now, I know that the words like patience, perseverance may have left the world, but when we look at entrepreneurship, when we look at ideation, Thomas Edison, he kind of summarizes it, and he says many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success, when they gave up. So you have an idea. What next? That's the question. What next? I know that we have spent quite a number of time. We've spent over an hour, and I think I mentioned to Michael that ideation, this is just an intro to ideation, to ideas, to coming up with an idea as an entrepreneur. So what is the next step? What are the things that you need to know, you need to do, as an entrepreneur? And I would say that you would have to move this to an upcoming ideation course, where we're going to take founders through this ideation, process. So I want to bring this session to a close, and I want you to remember something: that the big break, the unicorn deal, the next major company like the last speaker or idea could just be around the corner, waiting for you, and waiting for you to act on it. Remember that giving up too soon cannot actualize the dream. Now, I'm going to close with this image. If Michael can share that image, I have that image on my slide. Can you share that image, Michael? I have it on my slide. Michael, can we have that slide?
Just a minute, Matt.
Okay. Hey, Shokwe. Is Shokwe still here? Afolayan. Okay, I'm seeing ideas. I'm seeing computer systems, fintechs are ruling the world. Yes, no, the one before that. Yes. So this is a picture. I want to hear from everyone. What do you think has happened here? This is the entrepreneur. What do you think has happened? Can we unmute? Can we unmute and have you say something about this image you're seeing here? Is nobody's here to make a comment? What about the last speaker? Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think from the image portrayed on the slide, it's like a startup crashed. Yeah, right. Yes. They all like wailing instead of figuring out why it's crashed. They're all blaming themselves for it.
Okay. So this idea took off, and then it did what? It failed, right? Okay, any other comments?
So what I can actually picture here is some persons just found out that they've lost their source of living, source of income. So
Investment.
I can say,
Investment.
yeah, investment. Okay, I can say also some of them must have actually invested all their funds, because I can see the young man kneeling down. Yeah, it's actually a whole lot. So that's just what I can see here.
Yeah.
So it has failed.
The idea failed and
Yes.
it crashed. Okay. And investors are like, what just happened? You know, okay. Any other person? Do I need to pick? I have Nike Ogunshaki. Does anyone want to comment?
Well, thank you very much. From this picture, I can see that these people are not having any hope. They are being shocked for what has just happened, not thinking of the way out of their present situation.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Any other person before I go to my last slide? Okay, so what we're seeing is they must have thought about this idea, this business. They must have put action together. They must have written it down, acted upon it, got investors, and then start the business. Unfortunately, that idea, failed. So what we're seeing is, like I said, the 4 Ps: patience, passion. They must have had passion. For them to get investors, they must have convinced investors about this particular idea. They must have had patience to be able to build that business idea. They persevered through the different phases of growing that idea, getting that product out. And of course, the idea took off. The business took off, but unfortunately, it failed. Don't forget, going back to James Dyson, he did try a particular product, 5,137 versions of the same product that failed. So when we're talking about ideation, it's not only about having an idea. Yes, ideas rule the world, but what would it take from you? How do you make it, let me use the last speaker, so how do you make it sustainable? So what I'm saying is there's a second part to ideation. What I have done for you is to give you an intro of what is needed, what you need to have behind your mind: patience, passion, persistence, perseverance. Now, my last slide. I want you to know, can you give me my last slide? Thank you. Yeah, no, sorry, next slide, sorry. The next slide after that. Yeah, thank you. Yes, I want you to know that the entrepreneur is a dreamer. Don't forget the image before that. They must have dreamt that, oh, this business is going to take off. It's going to change the world. The guy using Apollo Global Innovation, you didn't introduce yourself. He's thinking of how this edutech product is going to change the world. So the entrepreneur is a dreamer. The entrepreneur is a doer. Because once you dream it, you have the idea, you write it down, you have to do and act on it. And lastly, the entrepreneur is a disruptor of the norm, the status quo, what is happening. Look at the automobile industry. Elon Musk disrupted, the automobile industry by designing the electric car. So an entrepreneur is a disruptor. So regardless of the plethora of ideas that we have to understand who we are as entrepreneurs and what is required of us as entrepreneurs and how we're going to disrupt and be able to make a change in the world. I want to say with that, I would welcome questions for this particular session so that we don't take more than the time. Thank you. Can I have the last slide? The next slide to this? Okay, so that's it. Okay, so Q&A. Back to the moderator. Thank you for having me, and I do hope that you are able to take a few things from what we shared, what I shared with you, briefly today, not minding the time that has been spent. I want to thank you for staying to the very end of it. Yeah, Q&A.
Yeah. Thank you very much, madam, for the time, for this wonderful insight. It's much appreciated. I hope that we're going to have another session after this where you will speak on what's needed, the next steps. But for me, I think I have a question, and it's around the concept of what a good idea is. Do you think there's such thing as a good idea or a bad idea? If so, what makes an idea good? Or what defines a bad idea? Or is it that what makes an idea good or bad is what happens after, like maybe the execution of strategy? Just wondering. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I would say that there is nothing like a bad idea, because a bad idea could eventually become a good idea. There's no idea that is a bad idea. What I can say is, once you have established a problem that you believe you have a solution to, though you might think, oh, wait, this is a bad idea. I want to think about so many things that, like in the fintech industry, so many the innovations that have come up in the fintech industry. For instance, the metaverse, the NFT, the blockchain technology. Who would have thought that we're going into Web3 and we're having to have meetings, presentations in the metaverse, not in human form? You would have thought nobody's going to do that. This is a bad idea. It's not going to work. But what makes a bad idea or a bad idea a good idea is you testing that idea. Like I said, the second part of ideation, have you tested your idea? Have you subjected it to research? Do you have your numbers? Have you had interviews with the users or the customers that you are proposing before you consider it a bad idea? If we circle back to that image of that startup that nosedive, it's not a bad idea. If they look, and I love what Olanike Ogunsaki said, that they have to go back to the drawing board. What did we get wrong that we didn't do? For some of for maybe 2 or 3 of my startups, of my businesses, one was not having a proper business plan in those days in the 1999, but now it's business model, canvas, your BMC. So before you say that this is a bad idea or a good idea, it must be tested. You must test your assumptions. You must test, what you're trying to innovate, and then come back to say, oh, these are the findings. And don't forget, even if it comes back, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad idea. Let me give you an example. When I had the idea of the food and delivery concept business, this was way back in 2004. There was nothing like that in the southwest part of Nigeria that I was at that time. Was it a bad idea? No. Was it a good idea? Yes. Was it relevant at that time? No. But now, looking back 18 years after, it's a good business idea. That if I want to come back to it, I mean, the Amazons, the Jumia, the Konga, you know, all these businesses now doing delivery. You can deliver even a human being, so to speak, and have that person delivered at your doorstep. So, but when I had that idea in 2004, there was nothing like that on the side of the world that I was living in at that time, which was southwest of Nigeria. So believe me that I wouldn't say that there is a bad idea, because that idea might not just be for that particular time, but maybe you know, years down the line. So I hope that answers your question. But you must test your ideas. You must research. You must you know, prove your assumptions and test and before you come to that conclusion. And even at that, you know, I do not think any idea is a bad idea, because if you can think it and create it, then it must be for something. But we're not sure when. And that's how you know, the process of your ideation, you know, kicks in to know whether it's sustainable or not. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
All right, that's a very fantastic one. Just my question really, because we've actually engaged quite a number of aspiring entrepreneurs, and one of the questions they ask is, how do I know my ideas are really ready, right? Like, how do I know this idea is actually the best thing for this? Because of course, it is believed that no idea is actually wrong. I don't know if you want to like shed more light to it and giving them a guide on how to know if those ideas they have is actually ready.
Yeah. So how to know that the ideas are ready? Like I said, the second part of it is putting your ideas through the process of testing, you know, your ideas. That is, you know, going out to share, you know, to do your interviews with your customers, testing the problem that you want to solve. Is there really a problem that you're solving? You might think there's a problem. You might be the only one thinking it, or you might think, oh yes, this is a problem, you know, that I want to fix. But getting to the market, asking the questions, doing your interviews, and getting the feedback from them to test it will show you whether your assumptions are right, whether what you're trying to fix is actually, you know, it would give you answers to what you're thinking about, whether it is, you know, it is a problem on its own, or it's just, you know, a lofty idea. I hope I can have explained that to you. So there is the need to subject that to testing. Okay, when I say testing, you test your problems, you test your assumptions, you test it with your customers, you test it with you know, people, and of course it comes back to authenticate whether that is actually a problem that you're providing a solution for. Because after that you have come back to say, yes, I have asserted, because now you're taking me to the part B of ideation. You come back with, maybe you've done 2,000 interviews of people, different age demographies, and then you come back, you analyze it, and then the solution that you're actually thinking about, you also need to test it. Acceptability, will people buy it? How much are they willing to buy it, and all of that? And then you come back before you're sure, and you know, all of this takes a time. It takes nothing, minimum of 2 years. You know, there's some products, if it's an innovation, if it's something new, it could be 2 years, it could be 3 years, depending on, you know, how quick you get your feedback and how quick you can get your you know, your product, your MVP out. So I don't want to go into the part B of you know, ideation, but it must be tested for you, and then you must substantiate that with you know, figures. Does that answer your question? I see Adesope Afolayan.
Yes, I think Adesope have a question for you.
Can
so
you
Adesope, go ahead, please?
Yeah,
hello, ma. My name is Chokwe Afolayan.
Yeah.
And I want to say that I partially joined because I saw your name, Mrs. Oluneye, And sorry to digress. I mean, I've been looking for you for like over 5 years, and you did not reach out to me, man. I'm like, how can you be here? And you have not reached out to your mentee, your protege. So I just wanted to say hello. Nice to see you again. And
Same
yeah,
here,
good to see
Shokwe.
you.
Same here, Shokwe. It's so wonderful to see you. I appreciate that love. Thank you so much. Yeah. Please put my details, the last slide. Thank you. Do we have any more questions? Any more questions? Okay, so I think nobody is speaking. Moderator? Yeah, moderator.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much for this wonderful section. I think we've had quite a number of persons say they want you, if it's possible for them to get a slide. Of course, you can actually get the video of what has been done so far. And thank you very much, Mark, for accepting this invite. The contact will be placed at the chat box in case you need to engage her and in case you need to see how Opolo can support you as a startup and as an entrepreneur. Because of course we build capacity. That is why we have Ms. Omuneye on the call, who has actually shed more light on giving us experience of ideation entrepreneurship. She had shared her knowledge on how we can go about it. Of course, there is more to learn from her. Yes, I think she'll be available to receive anyone who is interested in garnering knowledge from her. Ma, is this something you would be open to?
Oh, yes, sure. Definitely.
Yes, that's fantastic. Yes, once again, we thank everyone for being on the call. And then, yes, we'll have further engagements with her to see how we can also share or add knowledge to everyone on this call. So thank you very much for being part of this edition of this Opolo Spotlight series. And of course, we hope to see you more on a series like this to see how we can pass knowledge to everyone. So thank you very much, man. Thank you everyone for being on the call once again.
Thank you. I want to thank everyone for staying through till the very end. Thank you. I think the programs officer, that's Michael. Thank you for Shokwe. For everyone staying to the very end. And that's my contact there. Please reach out to me and I would definitely get back to you. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, madam. We'll see you later.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.